Welcome to the OBS training. OBS is a screen recording program that is free and open source, so it will always be free. And this is actually the only recording I'm making with Zoom. You can use Zoom to record and screen share as well, and I'll talk a little bit about that at the end because I think I'm going to have to do the Zoom part with OBS just like I'm doing the OBS part with Zoom. Okay, because you can't really easily record something that with the tool that you're recording. Anyway, OBS looks a little bit intimidating. When I first opened it up, I was like, okay, I am way out of my depth. But honestly, it's pretty easy to use once you get a feel for how to set it up. It being free is fantastic. The only downside with it is that it doesn't have a built-in video editor. So if you're interested in doing video editing, you're going to have to go to something else, which is why we've got another training on the DaVinci Resolve. You can, like I did for most of the semester when we were online, just deal with some of the weirdness and post your video as is and just say, hey, you know what, ignore the little first part. A lot of places where you post video, you can actually tell it where to begin and start after the weirdness. I'll show you the weirdness in a minute. But first, if you want to get started and follow along with me, I'll show you how to get OBS on your system. Okay, so I'm just going to go over here and open a new tab, and I'm going to look for OBS Open Broadcaster Software. That's what OBS stands for. And that will take you to the obsproject.com website. You would just choose your operating system and then download and install it like anything else would be. Okay, when you first get it, it's not going to have any of these things here. It's not going to have any video. What you're going to see is just a blank screen like this, which is a little bit intimidating and overwhelming, okay? The first thing you're gonna wanna do is add in some sources. So right here where it says sources, it's telling me I don't have any, and I can see that I don't have any up here. So if I want to add a, let's say I wanna add my face first. So that would be video capture device. I've got all kinds of options that I can add. I can capture just audio. I can put in images. A lot of these things you're not going to end up using, but I'll talk about the basic ones that you're probably going to want to have in your repertoire. Okay, so we'll start with the video capture device. I can add an existing one, which is just my camera. Click OK, it automatically pulls it in. It is really gigantic, which is not what I'm looking for at all. It goes to the maximum resolution of your thing, whatever you're using to capture your video. I'm using my laptop's built-in camera. Something that you'll notice is that it doesn't mirror, right? So I'm holding up my right hand now, and I'm expecting to see it over here because I'm used to looking in a mirror. If that's something that bothers you, there's actually a really easy fix for this. When you're resizing this, you can flip it, and so now I have it mirrored. I don't know that that's something that everyone's going to want to do, but knowing that that's a feature that's available doesn't hurt. I definitely recommend including a video source, even if you are just going over a PowerPoint. Maybe that's because I talk with my hands a lot, and so I need my hands in there. But it makes it more personal. It makes it so that your students have more of a connection with you. And it can really help the understandability if they can see your face the way that they are used to doing in a standard traditional classroom. Okay, so now let's pull in a screen share. Okay, and the first one I'm going to show is not a window capture, it's display capture. Display capture is the one that's going to get everything that's on your screen, and this is where the weirdness comes in. And it's the same as the other one, so I don't know. So as it starts recording your screen, you can see that it records itself in your screen. And as I position and resize this, it moves around in interesting ways. Okay, so this can mean that when you are starting to record something, you get some of this garbage before you switch to whatever window it is you actually want them to see. Once you're out of OBS, once you're not viewing with it, it works just fine. So like if I wanted to talk through the syllabus, I could easily do that without having that picture there. Now I will say I can't see my face anymore because my face is being captured in OBS, and since I'm not on that OBS page, it's not showing that to me. It's not giving me that feedback. which is fine. It's just a little bit disconcerting. I like seeing my picture there to remind me that I'm on camera, but you know what? I'll deal with it. Okay. So one way to avoid that weird vortex that OBS creates is to, instead of capturing your whole display, capturing just a window. And window capture can be a little bit difficult to get set up if you're like me and have a ton of windows open all of the time. I'll show you what it looks like. So maybe I want to turn off video capture, but leave it, oh no, not video capture, display capture, but still have it there in case I want to go back to it later. I can just click on that eyeball and it hides it. So it's still there, it's still in the same position. It's just hidden right now. And then I'm going to want to add a window capture. And this one, I absolutely do want a new window capture. Okay, so what is going to happen now is it's going to pop up with this dialog. And in this dialog, when I click on this, this menu here, it's going to show me every single tab, every single thing I have open on my machine. Okay, it does preface it with what the program is. So let's say I know I want to share a PowerPoint. There's only one Microsoft PowerPoint open. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that for Screenshare. It gives me this properties menu. I don't usually mess around with any of that. I just click OK. And then I can position it wherever I like. Let's say that I want my face over the top of it because I don't like that my chin is getting cut off. I can do that here. I can just send window capture behind my video capture, or I could bring video capture to the top if I always want it to be in front. So that's how you adjust the layering of your various windows. You can also just resize things so they don't work, or so they do work, I guess. So now I'm going to go and add in an image because maybe you'll want a little watermark or something. And so I just want to show you how to do that. So I'm going to say OK. And then I will be able to click on browse to find it on my machine, wherever that image is. I'm just going to throw in our dig in with tech logo. I'm going to use the one with no words because words don't always show up great when you're doing screen capturing, especially if you're really compressing it so that your students don't have to download huge file sizes if they're needing to access this, like they're driving into a hotspot and then bringing home all of their material for the week. So that's how you would get that set up. Now, the PowerPoint isn't fantastic. If I go over here, I'm actually not 100% sure what it's going to look like when I go to presenter view. If I choose presenter view, oh, it doesn't change anything. Okay, so I still can see all of the banner on the side that has the different slides and things like that. And that's not ideal. That's not really what I want in there. So there is a way that you can set PowerPoint to have a much better looking presentation. So to show you that, I'm going to close the window capture and reopen the display capture so you'll be able to see my full screen. That's the difference between display and window. Display is everything on your screen, including these toolbars on top. And window capture is the one that just has whatever this is. One thing that I find really kind of irritating is that when you're doing window capture, it doesn't capture where your cursor is on the screen. You'll notice with display capture, it will be keeping track of where my cursor is, and that is a feature. So let me highlight display capture and click on settings. That's how you get to the show cursor. So if you don't want the cursor in there, you can absolutely turn it off. If you do want it in there, you have to enable it. And to do that, I just, save. Okay, to do that, I just clicked on the display capture and then on settings. If I go to window capture here, there's no way to enable the cursor in the window. So that's not making my day better, but it's not terrible either. Okay, so what I was showing you. So if I want to just have a window that has just my presentation in it for PowerPoint, this is how I do it. I'm going to go to Setup Show, and then I'm going to say Browse by an individual window. Okay, so I'm changing it from the default, which is presented by a speaker full screen, to Browse by an individual. Now, when I say play from current slide, it gives me this nice window that I can then use the arrow keys or click to go through. So then when I go back over here, turn off display capture and on window capture, it's not on the right window. So I'm going to get rid of this by just hitting delete. It asks me if I'm sure. I am. And then I'm going to get a new window capture that's my good window that I want. So, okay. And then I'm going to go down to slideshow. Okay. So there you can see my slideshow. I'll position it how I like. It does have that bar on top, but I mean, that's not the end of the world. If you're super upset about that, you can actually adjust it so that it's like off screen a little bit. And you could play around with that. But this way you see I can go through my slideshow and you're just seeing my face in the slides. If I was just doing PowerPoint presentations, this is definitely the way that I would have it set up. The beauty of it is once you have it set up, you can give it a better name than blank. Like you could call it my presentation, whatever is like going to highlight to you that this is the one you want to use. And then once you set it up, the only thing you would have to do is add in a new window capture and give it a name every time you have a new presentation. So you would keep whatever other things you have on here, you'd keep your video set up. You would just need to add a new window capture for whatever new window you have, right? Because you're going to be opening up different PowerPoint presentations. Let me show you how to do kind of the same thing in Google Slides since we like Google Slides. Let me turn back on display capture. So if I wanted to go to my Dig In with Tech overview, this is actually kind of easier. I can go to presenter view on here. And with presenter view, I get this fun little overlay that's my kind of like my remote control for it, where I can manipulate what slide we're on and go to those things. And in the window here, it presents at full screen. So if I go back to OBS, I can add a new window. I'm going to say I want a window capture. I definitely want to create a new one. I probably didn't. I think I have enough already. Okay, and then I want the Dig In with Tech overview, not the presenter view. The presenter view is the little remote control thing, I hope. Yeah, that looks right. And then I can say, okay, and position it wherever I want. And then I'm going to be able to move through this. So I can click on my next slide and it'll update in the window and in OBS. So I'm really impressed with myself that I managed to get that set up so you could see that happening. Okay, we did that, we did that. Those are really good things to do. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is something you should only have to do one time when you first set up the program. OBS is designed for streaming and recording. So you could do this for live streaming if that's something that you're interested in doing. I'm assuming that most of you aren't, and if you are, I apologize. You can find all kinds of tutorials online showing you how to set that up. But if you are just wanting to do screen capturing, what I would recommend is going up here to the Tools menu and then going to the Auto Configuration Wizard. And here you can choose whether you want to optimize for streaming or optimize for recording. And so I would recommend if you're just going to be recording and not live broadcasting using OBS to do this. So I'm going to say next. Your base resolution is going to be your display, whatever you're using. My laptop is 1440 by 900 frames per second. I don't mess with it. I leave it on that one. And then I'm going to go ahead and click next. This is a little bit upsetting. I don't like the static screen, but it doesn't take too long for you to go ahead and get this thing set up so that it's optimized so you can be recording nice videos. It says it takes a minute, but it doesn't take. Okay. And now I'm going to say, this is the results of the test. I click apply settings, and now I'm set up to be optimized for recording. Okay. Little tip down here, you'll see that there's this audio mixer. I use the microphone in my headphones to record. It's usually better to use a microphone that's external instead of your built-in computer one. The built-in computer ones usually don't get you very good audio quality. One thing I have had a problem with in OBS is that every once in a while, if I've had it open for a long time usually, it will stop picking up my mic. And I don't know whether that's because I have an external mic or if it's just some issue with the program, but I need to be in the habit whenever I'm recording to make sure that this green bar is moving around, because if this is just flat, it's not picking up any sound, and I'm going to record and have this great video, but no audio with it. And at that point, it is way easier to just redo the whole video than it is to like try to dub over audio of what you were saying. So make sure that your mic is working, do a test before you get started. Okay, I'm going to now just do a short recording as a test so I can show you how to get your file into the correct format. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say start recording. When it's recording, it's got this little ticker down here that says it's recording. I've got 7 recording seconds and 0 live seconds because I haven't gone live. I can pause the recording in here. One of the nice things that you can have set up, I've never gotten this sophisticated with it, but if you know you're going to be switching between different views, you can have these all set up over here and seamlessly switch from one to the next, and your recording isn't going to know. I'm really surprised that I had the same thing in there every time. Like, that was kind of weird. Okay. So you can have your different scenes set up over here, and you can have as many of those as you want and use those to go through in your recording. Okay, I've talked for long enough. So I'm gonna go ahead and say stop recording. I don't remember exactly what the file format is. I think it's like an MXB or something like that. But anyway, the point is, when you have finished a recording, you need to do something called remuxing it. So to do that, you're gonna go up to File, and you're gonna click Remux Recordings. OBS Recordings is probably gonna be set to wherever you have it set up to save your recordings to, and you'll see they're saved in .mkv files. .mkv files are great because they're relatively small compared to a video file, but most video editors are not using them. Okay, so you're not going to be able to move that into anything to edit it or to share it until you remux it. So I had recorded a little test earlier in the day. This is the test that I recorded just now. I'm going to click open. That is not what I wanted to have happen. Okay, my window just went away. We're fine. So here, this is the file that I chose, and target file is what it is going to change into. And you'll notice that the target file has a .mp4 extension. That's a video format that's very compatible with other programs. So I might give this a name in here. For whatever I want, it defaults to whatever the date and time stamp is of when you collected it or when you finished recording it. So now that I have that in there, I click Remux. It takes like 5 seconds, even for really long times. And now I have a video that I could watch if I cared to. So to show you that, movies, and then today's movies are here. This is an MPEG-4 movie. I guess the file size isn't that small. I don't know why I thought it was. So I can open that up in QuickTime and watch that if I want to. I don't want to though. And so that's a step that you'll have to take before you either edit it or share it. And that's just going up to File, Remux Recordings. It's that one weird extra step you're gonna have to do to make your things visible. All right, I think I have gone over everything that I wanted to go over. I'll add a little bit at the end that shows you how to do the same kind of things in Zoom in case that's something you're more comfortable with. If I was having students make screen recordings of themselves, I would probably have them use Zoom if that was something we were using as a class anyway and they were familiar with it. But I absolutely think you could teach high schoolers how to use OBS without too much difficulty. Once you get it set up, it's really not that difficult of a program to use, and I really like the quality that it gives me and the control over what my screen looks like. I've scratched the surface though. There's tons of other features. These settings down here, if you're the person who wants to learn about the settings, more power to you. I'm fine using whatever defaults on here. There's the studio mode, where you can add transitions in between moving from one to the other of your different scenes. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with it. I have scratched the surface, but this is the basic overview of OBS for education. And please let me know if you have any questions. I would be very excited to help you answer those. Okay, so this is the part where I'm using OBS to show you how to use Zoom. So I left up the OBS screen for display capture, because you know what the vortex is now and it's not a problem. I'm seeing that my audio is bouncing along, so it's recording. That's great. And so now here's how you would do screen recording in Zoom. I'm going to navigate over to Zoom. I'm logged in on my personal account. I don't have a paid account, so it'll cut me off after 40 minutes. Hopefully you're chunking your instructions, so you shouldn't need something that's 40 minutes long, but that is something to keep in mind if you don't have one of the upgraded accounts. So I'm just going to go ahead and start my meeting. I'm going to join with computer audio just like I usually do. If I were making this video, I would unmute myself. I'm recording my sound with OBS though, so that's not my problem, but I will click record video. So if I were recording in Zoom, I would definitely have this here. I'm going to start by sharing my screen and get that set up before I begin recording. And I'm just going to choose this PowerPoint slide or presentation. Okay, so Zoom has that nice green ring around what is being recorded. If I put my face in here from the menu of participants, no, you want to do hide video panel. If that's already hidden, you would do show video panel. Okay, so that's how you can get your face in there, and you can, to a certain extent, resize this. That's as small as it goes though. And then you can make it small or take it off if you need to see the whole slide. So that's how you can get your face in there to make it a little bit more personable for your students. Then when you have it set up and you're ready to go, this bar kind of disappears at the top, but you're going to go up here and say record. It prompts you to unmute yourself, which is great. Like, that's fantastic. So I'm going to unmute myself. I'm just going to record a brief little talk so you can see what it looks like. The downside to using Zoom is that it takes longer to process the video afterwards, and it isn't as good of quality because you're going over internet. So those are two big drawbacks to using Zoom. It is a little bit easier though. So I'm going to stop the recording. And then when I end the meeting, it will process my video, and I'll show you what that looks like. So my talk was very short, but it's still taking some time for it to process. It's always going to take much longer than OBS does. OBS does a really good job of that. And then it opens up in your documents. Like you can see, I've had several Zoom recordings today as I've been testing this, and those windows are still all open. And then this is what I have for my Zoom meeting, or for my recording. Oh, it'll have it off to the side too. That is good to know. So it'll make it a bigger window if you have your thing on the side. Okay. So that is how you do that through Zoom. Again, I would probably use OBS. Well, I personally use OBS all the time. I prefer it to Zoom, but they each have their pros and cons, and you'll have to settle on which one makes the most sense for your classroom. Enjoy.